Mr. Secretary, welcome. It's good to see you here again. On previous occasions, we have discussed the overwhelming success of the Access Received Close to Home, or ARCH, pilot program in northern Maine, located in Caribou, Maine, in increasing access to health care for veterans who are living in that part of my state. Recently, a veteran from northern Maine used this program for emergency surgery. It was on a broken hip. Had the ARCH program not been in place, he would have had to endure a 250-mile hours-long ambulance ride to the Togus Hospital in Augusta over bumpy winter roads in extreme pain. In December of last year, the VA held a town hall meeting in which two separate veterans came forward and said that they had received cardiac care, and they indicated that they believed they would not be alive today but for the care that they received through the ARCH program because it was so accessible. So thanks to the ARCH program, veterans like these have been able to receive the care that they need right at home or close to home and close to their families. What concerns me is that this highly effective, indeed life-saving program is scheduled to end at the end of this fiscal year, which is coming up very rapidly, and the VA has yet to recommend whether or not the ARCH program should continue. I personally believe that the success of the ARCH program in northern Maine could serve as a model for the entire country. I wrote to you back in December about this issue. The letter was signed by my colleague from Maine, but we've yet to get an answer. And I know you've been tied up with budgets and backlogs, but I'm hoping today that you can answer the question of whether the VA intends to recommend an extension of the ARCH pilot program.
Senator, I regret that you haven't had a response yet to your question. We are in the stages of, as you indicate, this pilot ends in the end of this fiscal year, and we are in the process of analyzing all of the good stories that have come out, as well as where could we have been more effective. As you know, ARCH only went into 5 states, I believe, and so as we look at our national healthcare responsibilities, let's try to understand how we take what we learned from ARCH and make sure we're addressing needs for rural veterans and highly rural veterans elsewhere. I'm going to call on Dr. Petzel. I don't know that he's prepared to recommend on ARCH at this point. I know they're still in final deliberations of what results mean, but let me call on Dr. Petzel.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Senator Collins, as the Secretary mentioned, we're still in the final stages of evaluating the project. We've learned a lot of lessons from that pilot. Specifically in Maine, the ARCH was worked through the Cary Medical Center in Caribou. And that's been very successful from our perspective, particularly in terms of providing specialty care. We have developed a program called Patient-Centered Community Care across the country, where we have 2 entities that we've contracted with, who in turn have set up networks across the country to provide that same sort of service nationally that you've seen with ARCH, because we do believe that access to specialty care, particularly in rural America, is an important issue for the veteran community. We want to provide the same level of service in rural America that we do in urban America, and we think that PC3, built on the lessons that we learned from ARCH, are going to accomplish that. Specifically in Caribou, We're going to continue our relationship with Cary. We're going to continue to have the services available that you've seen available under Project Arch. And I think that the transition that we're going to be making to the PC3 contract is going to be seamless as far as the veterans that live in Maine or in those other areas where we've had this pilot program.
Let me just tell you that the concern I'm hearing about the PC3 program is that it is not likely to be fully implemented until this summer. And there's lots of concern about whether it will be as broad in scope of its coverage as the ARCH program has been. And I just want to pass that feedback on to you. I'm told that the ARCH program in Caribou has been the most successful of the 5 sites, which of course doesn't surprise me because it's my hometown. But in all seriousness, I think the link of the local hospital with the VA, there's a veterans home also located right next to the hospital, and the work that they've done with the veteran service organizations has made it extremely successful and a great model for you to replicate.
I would, if I could, just comment, you're absolutely right. The Caribou, Maine, Cary relationship has been one of the most successful aspects of Project Arch. And our intention is to continue the relationship with Cary and to continue the relationship that we have with the veterans in that community and their use of that wonderful community asset.